Good evening, bookies! My name is Hannah, and today we're doing a book review. Okay, so considering this is my very first book review ever, it's going to be a little messy and probably a little repetitive. I do have notes to hopefully avoid that, but let's get started. So obviously by the title of this video, you know that this is a review on Walk on Earth, a Stranger by Rae Carson. I really did love this book. I loved it so much, and I'm going to get to what I like and what I don't like about it. So let's begin. So from the very beginning of this book, it's very fast-paced. You get immediately to the storyline and what the whole book is about very quickly. It doesn't drag on to certain things, or like it doesn't take you 5 or 6 chapters or 50 pages. No, it doesn't take you to get 50 pages to get to the actual story. It does what you need to know about this story first, and then it gets right onto the story, and then it's just off from there. And I love that about this book. I didn't want to really sit there and, you know, have to go over every single piece of exposition to get to the actual story, which again, I was looking forward to. Now, one thing I didn't like about the book is there are a few parts throughout that are slow, and it's not exactly on like it's not an exposition or like detail, it's just slow. There's not much going on, and Rae Carson ended up having to find a way to fill that space until the next event happened. These are very few and far in between, and it's just, I didn't mind them as much. I don't actually not like the book because of them. It's just there are a few parts that are kind of slow in my opinion. But again, on the other end of the spectrum, other than those few parts, the book is very fast-paced, and there are many events that happen throughout the book that it's like one thing happens and then you get a little break where everything's calm and just, you know, little things are going on, and then it's something big, and it's just very exciting throughout the book again. And there's just little itty bits where it's like, hey, can we move on to the next piece, please? We want to see where this character is going, you know, we want to see what's happening to this character. And I honestly really did like this book because of it. So in this book is, the main character is named Leah Westfall, and she, was it Westfall? Yes, her name is Westfall. And she has the power to summon gold from the earth. She can sense it, and throughout the book it's like she senses it, but throughout the book she doesn't really use her power. It's just kind of there in the background, like, oh hey, yeah, you have this power. And throughout the book she can sense little pieces of gold in the ground as she's heading west. She can sense little pieces of gold in the ground, but that is not the main part of this story really. She doesn't use it really at all, only like a little bit, which I was kind of upset about. I feel like they should have had her power be more a big central part of the book. And before I totally hate on that they didn't use the power for most of the book, what happens is she runs west to go live and have a new, was it west? I think it was west. But she goes to hopefully get away from her uncle, who also wants to take her west so he can use her to find gold. That is really the only time that it's like the main part of this book, is that she knows he wants to take her to find gold, and she doesn't want to do that, so she runs away and tries to go find her friend so they can go west and like hopefully be anonymous. But other than that, her power isn't really used. A couple times she uses it to find, like, she had a gold locket around her neck and she gave it to a child, and the child disappeared, and so she used it to find the child. But other than that, there really wasn't much else. So I'm kind of flipping back and forth on what I did like and what I didn't like about this book, and what I did like definitely outnumbers what I didn't like about the book. One thing I did like about this book is there is a character that Lee, she uses the name Lee throughout the book. She meets her on her way west, and her name is Mrs. Joyner, and she's got 2 kids and a husband, and they're very wealthy. And they are going west because he wants them to go west to take their house with them, take everything with them, and they want to go across the continent instead of going around with the rest of their belongings. So Miss Joyner immediately she doesn't like Lee at all, and Lee doesn't understand why. But like she does little kindnesses to her. Like Miss Joyner will give her a blanket, or she'll kind of just show something nice. But throughout the book, it's obvious that Mrs. Joyner doesn't like Lee. And I should mention before this that Lee is dressed up as a boy to hopefully sneak away without anyone noticing that a girl went missing. So as you expect, once Miss Joyner finds out that Lee is a girl, she kind of starts being more nice to her and showing her little things again. But I do like the character development of Mrs. Joyner and Lee, because by the end of the book, Mrs. Joyner is very protective of Lee, and like they're all kind of a big family. And I love that about this book, is how much Mrs. Joyner grew to like Lee, and how much Lee started to notice that the people she had traveled with had become her next family. That is another thing I like about this book, by the way, is the fact that I like books where the girls dress up as boys to go to do something, because, you know, and then they're discovering it and it's like, oh, big surprise. But I always love books like that. It's my favorite thing ever. Okay. And we're back to something I didn't like, and this is the final thing I didn't like about the book, is it was a very anticlimactic ending. It's a very anticlimactic ending. Of course, there's a lot of action, obviously, that goes on near the end of the book, but what I wanted more into the book was her and her uncle finding each other. I think it's California, I can't remember. And I want it to be kind of like crazy and wild, and her trying to get away from him and all that. Literally, all that happens is she says hello, and then the rest of the people are like, oh no, she's with us, she can't be with you anymore, and they both go separate ways. I want it to resolve in the second book so bad, where I just want it to be like her uncle and her, and just they face off, and that's all I want. And like, when I closed the book, I was a little disappointed at this fact that like he gave no hint that he was like, hey, this isn't, like, I don't know. Hopefully it'll resolve. I'm really hoping it does. So this is it for my review. I know it's not very good, and I'm sorry. I'm hopefully going to be getting better at them as time goes on. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But I just want to say that I did like this book. I actually love this book. And I have the second book coming for Christmas. It should hopefully be a guarantee. Oh, please. And I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. And other than the ending, I actually really love this book. And I'm glad because it got me out of my reading slump. And I read another book this week. I read 2 books this week, guys. And I'm halfway through my 3rd one. So hopefully you guys can see another review coming up for Beastly Bones by William Ritter. I am doing that next, but you guys won't see it for a couple more days. And that's it for my first review. If you have any critiques or like words of encouragement or anything, please leave them in the comments. I have no idea how to do this. This is again my first review. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for joining me, and rock on. Hey guys, I'm Hannah at Heckyeahbooks, and today me and my sister, who you are going to meet in just a few seconds, we are doing the siblings tag. So she is sitting behind the camera.